Perfect.
Welcome, everybody. We are super excited for tonight. And I'm co-hosting tonight with Michelle Cribbs, and I'm going to have her sharing her story. She's going to give some tips to you guys to really assist you to really stay accountable through your health journey. I'm probably going to talk and interrupt and just foil her plans. But I'm excited to be here. And if we have time, I'll share my health story. Many of you have heard it before, but I thought it'd be way more fun to hear from Michelle. So Michelle, I'm gonna have you go ahead and start talking, and I'm gonna bring up your before and after photo because it is mind-blowing, y'all. So
Okay.
go
All
ahead,
right.
Michelle.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Gina, for allowing me to kind of come on tonight and to share my story. So my story pretty much began, my Optavia story began coming up on 2 years ago. But prior to that, just to kind of level set and give you guys an understanding of where I was at, I am a relatively tall girl, just under 6 foot. So I've always been bigger than everybody else. And my weight has fluctuated along with it. I have, in Weight Watchers in high school, that type of thing. And so I have gone all over the place, tried different things. My mom and I, were usually arm in arm trying to do something together. And let's see, the kind of like fast forwarding, that kind of thing. When I got married in 2012, at that time I had been working out with a, personal trainer. Things were going well. But then I moved, and so no longer could do that. And I got really stressed out in my job, and then newlywed life and all kinds of different things, and just stress. And I basically, in a 6-year time frame, gained 160 pounds. So I, from the picture you'll see here in a minute, I was basically over 400 pounds. 421 was the last recorded weight that I had at the doctor. And in January of 2018, my mom actually got started and got introduced to program with Optavia. And I started to watch her melt. And mentally, I was just in such a bad spot prior, and just upset, and tried different things and self-sabotage and all those types of things. I was pre-diabetic, had high blood pressure since college, basically, thyroid issues, all that kind of stuff. And because of my weight, when I started getting over, into that high 300s, into 400, then started having all kinds of other different problems that I hadn't had before. And my legs were swelling, and I was just miserable, and I barely had enough energy to do anything. And I was just in this really, really desperate spot, both physically, but also mentally. And so when I started getting this little glimmer of hope of something that my mom was having success with, it took me having to get ready for a garage sale and getting rid of clothes that it basically, that was the straw. And so in April of 2018, my husband and I decided to get started. And so one of the things that, we talked about accountability, and I can tell you one of my first tips for accountability is, if at all possible you have somebody to do this and to walk this health journey with, do it. Because I find that the more people you have around in your corner, they may not be doing the program specifically, but definitely having somebody that can help you to make healthy choices and you can have that accountability partner with is really, really important. So I was really blessed that my mom was on the program. My husband decided to do this with me. And because of our success, and then a month later, my sister and her fiance at the time, decided to get on program as well. And so we had the 5 of us just really being able to go after it. And with that accountability brought, it made it easier for family gatherings and things like that. We would get together and be able to also bounce ideas off of each other, that type of thing. So that was really important. So part of this story too is, so I was starting to see just lots of success. And so one of the other things that I started to do to help with my accountability was, I told everybody. I lived my health out loud. When I was at work, I would tell people, eventually they started noticing, okay, I'm making these fuelings, that type of thing. Like, what are you doing? And then they started noticing, right? Like, oh, well, you're doing really well. What are you doing? And what it did was is that then I started to become that person of health. Like they started then looking to me to say, hey, I'm going to the one that's for the company potlucks. I'm going to bring something healthy. And that now like people are requesting, my buffalo mac and cheese or my, or not buffalo mac and cheese, but more like the buffalo cauliflower mock mac and cheese, right? Or just mashed cauliflower or whatever the case might be. I'll bring something that's, because I always used to bring really good stuff before, but then I stopped for a while till I tried to figure out what can I bring to a potluck. But they look to me now. And so I have, a good community at work. And then I have the community. I started sharing. The biggest piece for me was when I started, I shared a lot in the community support pages because I just loved being able to share my story, because I realized that I got started because I was watching other people and getting inspired by others. And I knew that I had a responsibility too, to kind of share that and to be able to, with other people. And so that helped me with my accountability, because then I actually had to write down or share a picture. I remember the first time I shared a bathing suit picture, which was like 4 or 5 months in. It was like in July or August, and I couldn't believe, I was so excited. And then when I think back and I'm like, I just posted in Facebook like a picture of my bathing suit, but it didn't matter because of the support that we have with this community. And so it's kind of this combination. You get support with the community, but you also have the accountability, because you're actually, whenever you share something about yourself and you're being real about it, it's this, I don't know, it's this great feeling of being able to, you have this sense of like, okay, I've just shared this with the world. People are now, maybe potentially interested in what I'm doing. And so building that, and then you build that community, then there are other people within our community pages that are watching. So sharing your story, whether it's, outside in your friends and your family or within our Optavia community, it's really important. And that helps you to have this mental accountability with other people. Another thing, as I was growing into this, it didn't take me very long in that sharing, is that I felt like I needed to share this with the world. And I can, with all sincerity, guys, I've lost a total so far of 233 pounds. And I know with all of my heart, a big part of that is because I became a coach. That level of accountability, because it's like you have this internal feeling of wanting to make sure that you can walk the walk, talk the talk, even though I'm not perfect, hands down, I'm not perfect by any means, but I'm walking this journey with my clients arm in arm every day. We're dealing with the same stuff all the time. And I know even, I'm still not to goal yet, guys. I'm still working through it and the 5 and 1. But I do know, like, with my support team, and they've are at their goal, but it doesn't matter. Every day is a new choice. Constantly always making a choice to consistently choose health. So, but being a coach has allowed me so many different things. It's given me the opportunity to share. And the more that I'm able to, how do I put this? Like, so as I'm providing guidance or providing support or reminding, clients of different aspects about doing the program, or reminding, those types of things. Like it's also a repetitive thing right back to myself. So you get this fantastic benefit of accountability with having other people to do this arm in arm with, more people in your corner, but then also as you're helping them, you're helping yourself. And so it's this beautiful circle of ability to keep that accountability strong. And let's see. So let me make sure I get everything that I wanted to share with you on that. So the last thing I was going to share a little bit on, something more recent for me, was, so I have been, so like I said, I'm very close to my goal, but like in a typical fashion, right? Or in some fashions, like making it to the final goal, things slow down a little bit. And so you get to be really focused, and it's really easy to kind of do what Gina lovingly calls the 5 and 1-ish, right? And so we all have, sometimes in the weeks that are like that. And so I was thinking about it when I was at church on Sunday, and, talking about with coming for me, I have, with Lent coming up, and I do have, spiritual, nature to myself. But I realized, when I think about if there was a vice of some kind that I would like to give up, and I'm like, oh, I know exactly what it is, right? Like there's always that thing you're like, I could be, this is the one thing that if I'm not perfect on program, like it's this little thing that kind of keeps veering me off. And I'm like, you know what? I I've chosen that. I've chosen that little vice to say, this is what I'm going to give me additional accountability by having this, basically utilizing the spiritual side of things for me to help with that. And then I'm also not just giving up something, I'm also going to add something. And one thing that I know that is so important is giving myself that morning time frame for a little bit of time for some meditation and some ability to really make sure I'm consistent in my life book, because we know that how amazing that is in this program. And the mental piece is still the biggest piece. And so and I know that that's a big struggle that I have had and a challenge I've had. So the life book and getting and using Lent basically to either both give up my vice and then add in additional time for my life book. So those are my tips.
I love it, Michelle. And I'm not going to let you off that easy, because I have a couple questions for you.
Okay.
Would you share, just because, first of all, your physical journey has been phenomenal, but I have watched your financial journey be blessed beyond measure. And I have watched your mental, and not that you were mental, but yeah. I've watched you grow as a person through this journey. And guys, I'm not her health coach, right? Michelle works within our health coaching practice, but I'm not her direct mentor. So this is fun for me, Michelle, to put you on the spot. But first, would you be willing to share with everybody just at what point you made the turn to decide to become a health coach? Like, so you get on plan, I think you said you were 421 pounds. Mm-hmm. And at what point did you say, you know what, I'm ready to help someone?
So for me, let's see, the time where I was like, okay, I'd been thinking about it a couple weeks in. We went and had like a local community type of event, a health and health event. And, you know, we talked about it again. And I was like, you know what? The most amazing thing that was asked of me at that time was, what has Optavia done for you? And when I sat and I thought about that, and I said, oh my gosh, it brought tears to my eyes, because it said, it has given me this glimmer of hope that life could be different, because I didn't even realize how much I had put myself in this box. And it gave me this little glimmer of hope. And at that moment I said, I have to share this. I have to share this gift. I cannot keep this to myself. That's really selfish of me. I need to share this. And so at that was about a month into program at that point. And I was like, oh no, this has to be shared with the world. And so that was my turning point. It was for me and then all the other benefits along with it. But I definitely didn't get into this for the blessings financially. That has come afterwards, where it's just blown my mind. But for that was my moment when I said, I have to share this, and the ability that this is possible, especially when I thought it was so impossible, when I was like, I've got 200 pounds to lose. Like, how is this going to happen? Like, I didn't want to have surgery, but I needed something. And this was like, it felt easy. So I felt like I had to share at that point.
I love it. And guys, she didn't have to have surgery. That's what's so crazy, is like, there's different options out there, and there were different plans. And I know coaching, I knew coaching wasn't on the radar for her right out the instant. But what I think is crazy is, do you guys know, most of us, if we're honest, that end up health coaching, started thinking about it pretty early on. Maybe we thought of it like this. Maybe we thought of it as a way to, like, hey, I really want my husband to do this program, or I really want my wife to do this program. Or maybe it started off with like in my case, my mama. I really just wanted to help my mama, because I knew she struggled in her health. And I didn't, if this thing was so simple, I could do this and it was working, I wanted to see that. But so, Michelle, sometimes I'll hear from clients, I want to lose some more weight before I get to my goal, or before I become a coach, or I want, that I hear that one a lot. Mm-hmm. Can you kind of speak to that for a second, and how not waiting helped you?
Oh yeah. Because totally, I get that same thing. And I would not be here. When I realized it took me about 7 months to actually realize, because I'd be talking to my clients about their why, or they would be they would stumble, or or they would have, a couple different challenges. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, what's my why? Like, I have my why. I think I know my why, but is that really the reason why? Like, how am I being so successful? Why am I so strong? It's not willpower. Like, what is going on? And then it was about 7 months in, it was last year. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's because I'm coaching. Like, I didn't even realize, but I was like, oh wow, like that's my secret sauce right now, guys. Like, it's because I am coaching, and that gives me that extra boost to everything else that I'm doing. And it really was able. And then once I really honed in on that, then I was like, oh man. And I was able to really just push through. I mean, like, to lose 200, I basically lost 200 pounds in 13 months, and really, really just plowed through it. And I definitely wouldn't have been able to do that without everything and the support, but coaching was a huge part. So I definitely would highly recommend anybody that's thinking about it, or feels like, well, I'm not perfect, or I don't know everything, or any of those feelings of basically indecision and fear that you are having right now. I highly recommend you to break through that. Take your 3 minutes of bravery and just be like, no, like, I am okay. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I can walk with these people, the program. And even if you don't, guess what? That's what we have the support team for, right? Like, your mentorship team and everybody, we all team coach, and we do this together. So even if you don't know the answer, that's okay. But you have people that are on your heart that you're trying to help, and that you get this beautiful, like, community around you. And it just really has blessings on so many different levels. So please don't let that be a fear that you're not good enough, or you don't know enough, or it's just not ready yet, or I need to just focus on myself. Let me tell you that's selfish. Do not just say, oh, well, I want to just focus on myself right now, blah, blah, blah. It'll be too hard. I'm like, you don't understand the ability when you start focusing on other people and the blessings that'll come on you, because that's exactly what happened to me. I stopped focusing on me or anything like that. And it was like, nope, I'm just going to focus on others and being able to help them. Because like I said before, the words that are coming out of your mouth to help them are helping you. Mm-hmm. And the reminders that you're giving to them to listen, or to join these calls, or to do this, you're doing the same thing, because you're trying to walk the walk. Guess what? You're by default going to be doing the same thing. So
I got a lot more to say, but like, I have nothing. Like, guys, this is the point. See, the other blessing that Michelle probably is like clueless at this point, you get to have people like Michelle in your life. When you step into this, Michelle and I would have never, ever met. We would have never crossed paths. She lives on the East Coast. I live in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Like, we would have never crossed paths. And yet we get to surround ourselves by other people who cause us to be a better human, who cause us to grow, who I always say iron sharpens iron, right? There are things that I get to pour and mentor into her. Her mentorship gets to pour and mentor into her. And there are things she's giving back. Michelle, I don't think you will know. When you started this program, I know that you didn't know the impact that you were going to make just in your little world, but in this bigger world, just even on this call you're sharing. And so I'm going to kind of switch us both gears for just a second here, because you've said a couple of things that I think I want to help clients who maybe are feeling like that lack of accountability, who are feeling stuck. And one is, you said, bring others with you. Okay, so we know, like, we've talked about coaching, but just in general, can you talk to the benefits of having others on program with you? You mentioned a little bit family gatherings and stuff, but can you talk to that just a little deeper?
Sure. So first, when you look at your environment around in your home, right? So if you are, whether it's your kids or your significant other or anybody else that you might be living with, right? Sometimes having temptations in the house can be rough. So where you're able to have a really candid conversation with those in your household that says, hey, I am doing this for my health, and can you help to support me? And so depending on what the answer can come up to that, if they're able to go alongside you and to say, okay, yes, let's do it together, guess what? Then you can really do a much better job of clearing out that pantry and the refrigerator, and things won't come in the house. right? But definitely having that ability to be accountable that way. I think that's the first thing of getting rid of temptations and having somebody work with you. But then that allows, like, so for my husband and I being able to do this together, that allowed us to actually have more time together, because now we're cooking more. We're not, but if we do go out, we're having a conversation. And so we have another deeper connection. That way, being able to do this and definitely getting healthy together was fantastic. And you can, even if you want to have a friendly competition, whatever you want to do, right? Like, you can take it depending on your personality and the people around you. So that's, I think, really, really important. You know, and also, you know, I've been able, like I mentioned, kind of at work, and the people that are around me, there are people that are going to want to be healthy, and then there's going to be people that are not, and that's okay. But the more that you have people knowing that you are now seen as that person of health, and are going to choose health, they're going to avoid offering you items. And so that kind of helps you with that community to bring alongside you. But I've been able to now start helping other people get healthy, right? Like, other people, even if they maybe that just gives them that inspiration, and to say, oh my goodness, like, I would like to do something better for myself as well. And so that's another piece that I found is really helpful, is just being seen as a resource, or seen as somebody that they can come to ask questions. And so then you can kind of just to learn. And I've been soaking all of this up, these calls. And I mean, we talk about all kinds of things on these calls, right? Whether it could be anything, and just learning and diving into what Dr. A has been able to put in the Life book, or in the Habits of Health book. And so there's just some information. And so people, especially when they want to come to you and ask clarifying questions about either other types of, you know, methods and things like that, and being really knowledgeable has been really helpful for me as well. So that when I bring people along, or I can kind of coach people, even if they're not, you know, part of programming, I can coach them in that way. So I find bringing people alongside you help you to be arm in arm. It builds a community. You're able to share. And if they're able to really walk the journey with you, man, that just allows you to just do it together, and it makes it easier versus making you feel like you're by yourself. So it's building your mini community.
I love it. It's that micro community of health around you, you know, and so that's one of the pieces that I want everybody to walk away with. I remember one of my clients put a post, she did a sugar shot, and she put a post out of her holding her 5 pounds. She had only been on plan for 1 week, and she put this picture up with her holding her 5 pounds. And then the next day, her company ordered in these high-end, super fancy, schmancy cupcakes. And so she's like, sends me a text, 911 emergency. It's not a real emergency, but I just want to smell one of the cupcakes. I'm not going to eat the cupcake. I'm just going to smell it. So she picks up the cupcake. She goes to take a sniff of the cupcake, and clear across the room, a coworker who she does not even know comes running. Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't ruin your sugar thing! You got this! I'll help you! And she slapped it out of her hand. You guys, complete stranger. All from posting a cute little picture with a bag of sugar. Like, this is what we're talking about when we're saying, live this thing out loud and proud. Put up the guardrails. Put people around you that are going to protect you. You know, we all have the little angel and the little devil on our shoulders, and they're both talking like crazy, and who you're going to listen to. But if you do yourself a favor and put a few extra angels on the side, you are far more protected. If we can put those guardrails up in your life, then temptation starts to disappear. The more vocal you are about being on a plan or a program. If you've ever chatted with me, you'll hear me say this all the time. Please do us a favor. Don't tell people you're on a diet. Okay? Don't. If you consider it a diet, that's fine and dandy, sandy, randy with me. But one, if you tell them it's a diet, if you tell them you're eating healthy, you tell them it's Optavia. Nobody had an opinion about your health prior to you going on any plan. All of a sudden, you use those 3 words, diet, healthy, Optavia. Every opinion has now been invited to the table. And so it creates this place that you have to be defensive about what you're doing. If you're saying I'm on a diet, then they're like projecting on you what they think of a diet. They're projecting on you what they think of eating healthy. They are projecting what Optavia is to them. Half of them don't know, but they've decided already. So I tell people all the time, use the word plan or program. Okay, if you use plan or program, guess what? Like, this is easy peasy. Now, when you use the word, I'm on a plan, I'm loving my plan, I feel great on my plan. For me, I gave up 65 pounds. I'll tell people all the time, oh, thank you so much for those cookies. I gave those up 65 pounds ago, right? So it's, when you use the word plan or program and you give credit where credit is due, guess what? That invites supporters. That invites people to come around you and support you. So they are chasing you down, waving their finger, get that cupcake outside your nose. First of all, that's disgusting when you really think about it. But like, just create that protective environment. Bring the healthy things. I love it. I bring buffalo chicken to almost every potluck. It's now a request every time I go, kind of like she was talking about the buffalo cauliflower. Guys, people want healthy. My buffalo chicken is gone before all the chips, cookies, and cakes. Always gone, wiped out, taken away. By the way, here's a quick little tip. Pre-make your lean and green. Weigh it at home, because we weigh everything. Weigh it all at home. Put it in a separate container. It doesn't even hit the potluck table. So you take the same thing. So I'm going to take, if I'm doing buffalo chicken, I'm going to take my buffalo chicken that's for the party. It goes to the table. I walk away from the table. I usually grab the same plates and the utensils from the table, and I walk over to my little container and I dump it out on the plate. That way I am not tempted to get random. How many of you, put a 1 in the chat, how many of you have eaten like 7,000 stalks of celery at a potluck because it's the only on plan thing? But you know it's not the right amount. You know it's more than a half a cup. You know that it's more than a cup and a half. You are just like, don't eat the cookie. Don't eat the cookie. Right? My face is really lovely when I do that. But you guys, seriously, we overeat on veggies because we're so trying not to eat the cookies. And I'm like, just get away from the table. Don't put yourself in that position. Pre-weigh the stuff before you get there and you'll set yourself up for success. But that's about being, that's like that, bringing others with you, living it out loud. I can tell you, Michelle, myself, all these other coaches, we actually have a ton of clients on plan around us because we lived our health out loud and they were like, dang it, I tried this plan. I tried that plan. I don't even want to use names, but I tried this. I tried that. And then they're like, it's not working and you're still melting. Or like for me, 9 years later, baby, that weight's still off. Okay. There is not too many people on those other plans that can say, I did this plan for 9 years now. Now I don't live on the 5-in-1. I live on the optimal health plan. But there are not very many people in this world that lose 65 pounds and keep it off for 9 years. Do you know that's the best health plan I ever found? Not like coaching for me. That's if you want to know the truth, I'm accountable to all of y'all, right? If I go gain my weight back, I can't say I kept my weight off for 9 years. If I don't keep my weight off, I am connected from an integrity standpoint to all of you. I have to show you it can be done. I painted myself into a pretty little corner. Yes, there's a palm tree and a beach next to it, but I painted myself into a pretty little corner so that I have to stay accountable to you all long term. And that's really what I want to leave you guys with is when it comes to coaching, when it comes to being a client and creating accountability, there is no better accountability long term. Okay, you know what, whether you have 5 pounds to lose, 233 pounds to lose, or somewhere in the middle, okay, there is no greater accountability long-term, 5, 10, 15 years after you've gotten the weight off than health coaching, because you stay in that community, that micro environment that you are creating, you stay in, you live in. See, Michelle's world is full of people choosing healthy. So when she's at her goal weight, the people around here are still choosing healthy. 2 years from now, the people around her are still choosing healthy. 5 years from now, the people around here or around her are still choosing healthy. It's recreating that environment. Dr. A talks about it in the Life book and in the Habits of Health. And so I want to challenge you guys, recreate your environment, and you will recreate your life. All right, guys, thank you so much for being on, coaches. We're going to end this webinar and start our health coach one where we talk about dreaming. Michelle, thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks.